Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the RJM show. My name is Gabriel Schickler, and we are here today to talk about all things related to mindset, business, personal development, becoming a better and more capable human being. So I am joined by Joe McCarthy, the guy bankrolling this whole thing. Joe, would you like to tell us why we should listen to you?
Joe McCarthy. I've been in the personal branding, marketing space since I was younger, 8 years now. Grew my personal brand past $500,000, worked with thousands of clients since 2017. Helping people build their brands, launch offers, made hundreds of thousands of dollars just through DMs, personal branding, and Instagram. So hopefully I can give the audience some sauce and yeah.
Cool. And Tyler, why do we let you in?
Because I'm handsome, that's why.
Yep, that's it.
Over the last 10 years, I've been helping people through every emotional challenge that you could possibly think of under the sun, from feeling suicidal to depressed to phobias, panic attacks, basic inner conflicts about where do I even want to go in my life, all these simple things. But the biggest thing that I've discovered in life is that the emotional state that you're in will determine what you believe you can and can't do. And so whether that's personal in your relationship or business, if you're not in the right state of mind, you're not going to do it. So my whole thing is not as much strategy of how to do the thing, it's what's preventing you mentally and emotionally from doing it.
Cool. Beautiful. Well, there we'll get right into it. And for you, the audience, this is very much a work in progress. This is episode 1, episode 0.
Episode 0. We're just getting this rolling.
Yeah, exactly. So we are going to be iterating. A big part of the goal behind this is for us to show the process of building from nothing. So Joe has over 500,000 in following on Instagram, been doing it almost a decade at this point. I have like 500 followers. So I'm starting from pretty much nothing. And our hope with this is to document that journey and to have something that's not just, oh, you should do this, but a really practical and applicable case study, as it were. And so the goal for this and the goal for probably the next few episodes that we do, at least in part, is going to be to figure out what we are doing here and what is going to be the most valuable. And so today we just want to capture that conversation and kind of show the process behind the scenes of how you actually, build an offer, get yourself out there, establish your brand more, etc.
So let us know what you're most interested in as you listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ask all the questions.
Drop
all
comments,
questions,
send DMs. We will have information for that later, of course. But for the time being, I would be very curious just to hear from both of you guys. With getting this going, what do you feel like is the thing that you are personally interested in focusing on the most?
You want to go?
I was going to point at you. So I'm biased. I'm very, very biased about this because my entire life and business has been about figuring out why people aren't taking the actions that they know that they need to take to get the results that they want. So my bias is like very, very, very heavy mindset. Now, I'm glad that Joe and I are here because if you have the right mindset and beliefs about something, but you don't have the right strategy, you're literally just motivated and excited to go nowhere, right? But if you have all the strategy in the world to build a business, as an example, but you have only fears and limiting beliefs, you're still going nowhere. So you need the both. I am very interested in the mindset piece. And like, if Joe says, do 30 DMs as a simple example, and you're like, but I did 5. It's like, well, why didn't you do those other 25? Like, what is preventing you internally? So that's my big interest. Joe?
Yeah, I'd say for me, especially with this podcast, I actually heard something interesting. I don't know if you guys saw that one guy who was talking about like you're the brand. He had this massive speech. It's the Asian guy. I think he has a lot of good advice, but one thing that I would pick apart from that is that you almost have to have like the expert brand first. You have to build the brand and have the expertise before you start sharing.
Devin Giotto.
Yes, exactly. You saw that? Literally, I just watched that 100%. And so I feel like I've been in the space for like...
I have no frame of reference, so to catch me in the audience up to speed, what is the gist?
Yeah. So there's this guy, Devin Giotto, obviously he's like a massive, also personal brand guy.
Viral, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's very good at what he does. But essentially, he broke down why you're the brand. It's more of a sequencing thing. People would get into it a little bit too quickly just because of this other guy's advice, which is essentially saying like, screw the niches, like don't worry about the targeting, just post what you like, post what you enjoy, you are the brand. And I think to an extent, like that's true. Like you want to make sure that you're sharing your opinions, beliefs, values, and all that. But at the same time, people are going to follow you for an incentive. Like people are going to follow you because you're the mindset guy or you're the brand guy. So one thing I was saying, I even put it on my story today. I think it's important to be known as an expert first, put in the reps before you start sharing a ton of the lifestyle. Hence why 7-ish years later, now I'm starting this podcast thing because I want to share more of the behind the scenes, the life. Like people have been asking about more of just like the personal stuff, family. Like a lot of people don't even know that I have, a family or kids and things like that. So I think it makes it more relatable, if that makes sense.
Something that made me agree so heavily with what Devin said, because I saw the exact same video, was when he said, he's like, if I need like some crazy brain surgery, he's like, I don't really care in that moment if you have a cat or a wife. He's like, fix my fucking brain. And so when I heard that, I was like, that's so true. Because especially in my niche, like hyper specifically helping entrepreneurs to overcome their deepest fears and such, it's like, if in the moment that you're like, I have this really big speech, like Austin Medlin throwing his name out there, if I have a really big speech or this AI thing that I just started and I'm going to go on all these podcasts in which I need to get on planes, I need to get in elevators, I need to do all these things. I don't care if you have a cat or a wife or this, or if you like blue and like, it's like, just fix the thing. And so I was like, that's so true, because in the very end, it's about results. I think the longevity, now this is, I'm curious to know your opinion, but I think the longevity of who you are and why people seek you out could be a lot to do with, well, who is this person behind it all? But like in the end, can you get me the result in the time frame I want it, at the quality I want it, with the certainty that I will get it?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting point, because in a lot of these cases, like, I mean, this obviously is a lot of your work. Most of your experience of reality is not what happens. It's like how you choose to see it. And so somebody can hear what you just said and be like, oh, well, that's an incredibly selfish way to view the world. And it's like, I don't care who you are, who you're talking to. It could be your wife, your kid, your best friend, whatever. You put that time into their life because you're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
And so you like, on the one hand, you can be like, oh, that's super selfish, that's super petty, that's limited mindset, whatever. But that's just like how human beings operate, because we, like, biologically, our brains are wired to spend the least energy possible on a single thing, because if you waste energy, you die. And so you're not going to just waste time because you have it. And if you do, that's a luxury that has like never existed in history. But one thing I would be curious on along these lines, and this is something I'm very much just kind of toying around with as well. I've posted a lot of different types of content. I've had pages that were not under my name before. I just a lot of different, not necessarily niches per se, but like topics and things that interest me. I could see just posting random nonsense and focusing on the volume and the consistency as being very helpful to actually find that voice to start, and like to start getting that momentum. So like, if someone is in my shoes where they don't really have like this is the thing that I want to be known for, how do you find the voice for your brand, and what do you do to, I guess, like, not have the expectation that when you do settle on that, your first post is going to be gold, because it's not.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think if you're in this scenario where you don't really know what your niche is or who you're trying to speak to, like we're at ground zero, I think it makes sense to just like post for the sake of consistency, or like get the reps in. I think that is where you could document your journey of like, maybe you're trying to figure out what you want, trying to figure out what you're passionate about, your expertise is. But yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, like if you're, my mind went blank.
Okay. While you're regaining that thought, one thing I would say, I've done one post on this so far, but I remembered I have a book that's a collection of a lot of the writings of like the founding fathers, not just the Declaration and stuff like that, but a lot of the historical context and the Federalist Papers, which, for the audience, if you're not familiar, make a long story short.
I am audience in this example.
Yes. So articles.
Tyler's Canadian, by the way.
All right. So basically, long story short, America wins the revolution. Hooray. Each of the 13 colonies becomes the 13 states, but it's not organized like the country today. They're basically like their own separate, almost like nations or kingdoms, as it were. It's why they were called states. And the idea was that there would be this federal government that had some authority, like if Britain tried to invade again or there's some other threat, like they could bring everybody together. But because they'd just been burned by King George and everything leading up to the revolution, they were super paranoid about a powerful sovereign. And so they basically said, okay, like this guy leads the federal government, but he didn't really have any actual power to do things. And so the Federalist Papers are a hugely important part of American history that not many people actually know about, which was a series of dozens and dozens of essays written by, I think it was John J. Madison and Hamilton, basically to convince the public that like we need a stronger federal government and more institutional power. So
you made a post about this.
So I have a huge book that like has a Federalist Papers and other things in it. I realized I've had this sitting on my shelf collecting dust for years. I like philosophy. I
saw
like
your
these
story
things.
about this a couple days ago.
Yeah. So I'm like starting to dive into that. I don't know if there's a way to like monetize that, but that strikes me as something that like I'm interested in.
Can I shed some light on this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What I find interesting when you first started bringing this up is that like most people have no idea, and I certainly didn't realize that it would lead to this, is that when I started, my first posts on social media, you would not be like, oh, he's a super handsome entrepreneur who does a... No, it was like...
Wasn't it the tree thing?
What tree thing?
What?
Oh, you like had some posts about the tree, like, oh, look at the tree, the leaves.
Dude,
so
yeah.
beautiful.
What?
So let me explain.
He can explain it.
I'll make it very short. But so I was just getting into Tony Robbins and just what seemed like, I knew there was something to do with like how to get the things you want, but I wasn't fully understanding it yet. But my mindset about how I saw life was changing dramatically. And so the post that I was making, and I swear to God, I believed that this was valuable. Keep in mind. But I started with saying like, you know, look up from your phone right now. Look at the sky and the way that I'm making this shit up on the spot now, but it was so real at the time. Look at the way the clouds shine upon the ground and the this and the trees and the beauty of life. And it went from that to then, oh, I'm not solving any problem here. So I went from that to, in general, the way that we look at life shapes how we feel. And I was using all these jargony terms. And then I went from that to like life success. And then from that to relationships, to this, to the, all the way down like to anxiety, to traumas, to phobias, to entrepreneurs with phobias, to entrepreneurs with phobias in these specific places, to entrepreneurs with these specific, blah, 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 all the way to where I am now.
Yeah.
This was like a 7 to 9 year journey. Now, it doesn't need to take that long if you have someone as great as Joe to be like, here's your message and get it right. But it's like starting at like 0, as you mentioned, is like, I knew where I was trying to go the whole time, but I had no way to like get that out of my brain and onto, well, I was gonna say the paper, onto like the phone. I had no idea how to like do that because the way I've always looked at life was through quote unquote, like life is so beautiful eyes. And so with you, when it comes to founding fathers and everything you mentioned with that, it's like, I would be suggesting like follow that route and just notice where it takes you. Because for me, it was always, I want to show people how to live the best quality of life. And I think that my first thought was like, if you look at how beautiful the blah, blah, blah is, that was me trying to say, focus on what you want, not what you don't.
Yeah, I also think like as you start to continue to post, like you just naturally like you hash out your beliefs, how to convey it, how to communicate it. I remember like when I had like my whole podcast run, I spent a ton of time on those podcasts talking about my origin story or talking about some ICP like beliefs that I have or like methods or frameworks and things like that. And I feel like it helped me. I feel like with that, it helped me hash out what I actually believe. Because like a lot of times, unless you're actually like writing it down or saying it out loud and you consistently do that, you don't really know necessarily what you want or what you believe. So similar to what Tyler was saying, it's like it takes a little bit of time and iteration
so much iteration.
Yeah, to like get to the point where you're able to communicate it properly. Like what you just said in one sentence where it was super clear. You didn't start like that. You had to start with the trees in the sky and everything like that.
And it's real. It's so real because I mean, even for you being a personal branding coach, like starting with like just who you are in general, but leading that all the way to telling people how to solve specific problems within it. Like it's just a journey where it's almost like if you look at a laptop and you're like literally zooming in, like pinching the screen out until you get really micro specific. It's a journey of that. And then obviously we have someone like Joe to like, short the learning curve, right?
Yeah,
and it's way, way, way easier to ask the right question to get the right answers. But I think you could go anywhere and or just a lot of places with that because you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
So that is another interesting point though, and something that I've noticed comes up a lot on calls that I have right, is people, they have this vague idea that, oh, I should build a brand, I want to build a business, but it's usually because they saw some knucklehead on an Instagram reel that told them they should. They don't really have a reason behind it. And I do think one of the very interesting things about modern life is that we have a sort of dilemma that's never been the case, where we have this buffet of options. Like it used to be in the past, like the reason we have last names like Smith and Cooper and, you know, Wright and all these things is like that was your family job. If your dad ran the mill, you were going to run the mill. If your dad was a blacksmith, you were going to be a blacksmith. And like, you could say like, okay, you know, it's not ideal to have less like social mobility, fewer options. I would agree with that in a sense. But it also means that today we have so much potential and so many paths that we could follow.
It's almost too much. It's overwhelming.
And what I hear is people are like, I want to build my brand, but I don't want to silo myself. And so my question for both of you specifically with regards to branding, but also to Tyler with like the mindset and how to approach that, with the understanding that by saying yes to anything, you are automatically saying no to everything else. How do you bring yourself to the point of making a decision and deciding to commit to something and make a change, knowing that you are never going to have perfect information?
Well, I'll go first.
Question.
I mean, I definitely think this ties into niching down. That's one of people's huge problems. Yeah. But I think that it's a mindset where it's like, oh, if I niche down, I'm saying no to these people, or I want to help these broke people, or I want to help these people. And it's like, you can't help everyone. And by you trying to help everyone, it's like, it's just too vague that nobody actually closes or DMs you. So I feel like if you're going to niche down, I think there's a sequence to when you do it. I think that's almost necessary in the beginning to get hyper specific. You need to be a specialist, because if you're a generalist, you're essentially competing with every other high level coach out there that's already been doing it for a decade or two, right? And we don't want to become a generalist just trying to compete with those people. So you almost need to be like a hyper specialist. And then as you get more accolades, testimonials, results from like a very hyper specific audience, then you can eventually kind of segue out of that and expand. Like I feel like with me, I feel like my thing was a little bit more of a different case, because I feel like everybody needs a brand. But if I was talking to like a fitness coach, right, they need to niche down temporarily until they become like the go-to person there, and then maybe they can expand out. But I think it sounds like almost with you, you're making it seem like if you niche down or you choose a specific field or a specific thing, you can't change, you can't pivot, you can't expand.
I think what it comes down to socially is we've just been taught that commitment is a bad thing, because we've I think been fooled into believing that freedom is an end in itself as opposed to a means to an end.
Yeah.
Like would there be any appreciable difference between having the freedom to do literally anything in the world and the option being the absolute thing that like you love and you're the best at, or only having the option to do that or maybe like one other thing? No, because you would have access to the highest level thing that you could be doing. So
and there's a couple points to make on this. Is in the freedom thing, it depends on how you define freedom. I know so many people, they don't realize it, but they're defining freedom as what I would illustrate as just being like, if you could imagine walking through a field and you're just like, you literally just like being able to like, just like physically, like I can choose to go anywhere, any moment, but then they're afraid to make the choice because they think that once I've made this choice, like it's that there's never looking at any options. So it's almost like the feeling of freedom they define as, I love being able to see all the options. And it gives me the feeling and illusion that I am either doing them all or can do them all. But the second that you pick your tunnel vision, which is like not necessarily true. It's like, you pick something long enough to know that I've tasted it, I've seen if it's for me or not, and unless it's getting a woman like pregnant or something, you can choose to move the other direction. And I really mean that like in business, like Hermosi or someone's had like 3 businesses. So that's the one thing about like the freedom aspect, because I actually felt that way in relationship for quite a long time. But there's another thing I wanted to mention is in terms of like actually picking something. I think before anyone picks anything, you just have to start with why. Yep, like, why 100%. Are we wanting to do something? And I don't mean like even, why do I want to help doctors to do X, Y, Z or personal brands to do it? Like, I mean like, what is the feeling that we're trying to get from doing the thing? Because for example, if I'm trying to build this personal brand online because I was never seen my whole life, childhood trauma. If I was never like seen my whole life and I don't feel like I'm good enough, so I have the perception that if I have 500,000 followers on Instagram, I will finally be seen. It's never going to be enough.
You're definitely calling me out.
Brutal.
It's like, because I think when I see 1 M on Instagram of 1 million followers, then I will feel seen. But then what you're going to notice is because it was so gradual, by the time you hit 1 million, that 1 million will feel like what it felt like to have 100, literally.
Yeah.
And so because it becomes your norm, like I have I think 70,000 on Instagram now. I feel the
always
same
a
as
moving target.
And so it's like the reason why I'm saying start with why isn't just from the perspective of like it keeps you motivated and all that. I mean, why? So that you know you can actually hit the attainable target.
Yeah.
If it's to feel like we are enough within ourselves, it is never going to work because the brain is designed to keep you afraid and feeling like you're not enough. So it's got to be something of service, of something you believe in. Like for me, I've always been obsessed with why aren't people living life on their terms? Period. And so when I went all the way down and figured out it was just fear, my obsession became how can I get people out of fear as quick as possible? And that's been the whole thing. But that's very much I want to serve you. So that's the why. Mm-hmm. It gives me a sense of purpose to serve you versus having all these Instagram followers would make me feel seen. So I mean that why. Like what will it emotionally give for you to do the thing? I think if you start with there.
Yeah, I also think like the origin of why you wanted to do something can also shift. Yep. You basically just called me out. Like the reason I built my social media was because I didn't feel seen in high school.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, like literally.
I can confirm I was there.
Yeah, literally.
I literally was there.
Yeah, and like I was not a popular kid, right? Like I didn't have friends. I mean, my parents might differ. Like they seemed like I was a popular-ish guy, but it's like I stuck to sports, so I couldn't fit in with the sports guys and the cool kids.
Yeah,
I wasn't a nerd. Like whatever Gabe just talked about.
I didn't have friends either, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever Gabe just talked about, that went right over my head with the independence and the whatever. So like, I don't know what's going on there. So it's like, I was kind of like in this middle ground the whole time. Like, I'm kind of in this awkward middle ground. I felt like no one really understood me. And as soon as I started posting and sharing content, like I was getting comments and like people were like, dude, this is awesome. Like you're motivating me, blah, blah, blah. And I felt seen and I started chasing that. But then when I started to get some more like self-awareness, and I'm like, why am I even building this brand? Because it got to the point where you're saying like, I hit 100K on Instagram and it just felt normal. I hit 200K and then 300K and then 400K. And it's like, why do I still feel like I'm chasing something?
Yeah.
But when you start to realize why you originally started building it, maybe it's sort of like the Andy Frisella, like you're using your anger as fuel. It's like you can kind of get away with like using anger as fuel to motivate you for a period, but it's like that's not sustainable long term.
You need in everything that we do in life, it doesn't matter business or personal or anything in between, you need to have a push and a pull, meaning we have to have pain that we're moving away from. In your case, not feeling seen. In my case, being bullied. So mine was to figure out, okay, if I can anticipate and understand exactly why people want to make fun of me, I can find a way to like get out of that quickly. So it's moving away from pain. Yours was the feeling seen thing. Mm-hmm. And so when we finally feel seen enough, or when we finally can predict human behavior like this, it's like, well, now where the hell am I going? And so then it becomes, I want to help people to have the same feeling as me. Or in my case, I want to show people how they can live their best lives. So like the pull or the push motivation is like, I need to get out of this pain. But once you're out, you need to have something that keeps you going in that direction. Literally verbatim. You guys will think this is funny. I voice clipped my fitness trainer yesterday. I'm not going to say her name. She's awesome. I messaged her. I'm like, I think I'm going to back out of the contract. And she's like, what's coming up for you? And what do we all do as salespeople? Right? As influencers, try to connect to the why. Because I knew this, I told her, I was like, I'm thinking I'm going to back out of the contract. And I'm doing it because I actually just don't care about this anymore. You're a great coach. There's nothing really that you can connect my why to because my why from before is not even there anymore. I don't have a why, so I think I'm done. And my point of this is like, my push motivation was when my wife was pregnant, I put on a shirt and I was like, ugh, because I was eating as much as she was when she was pregnant and I gained a couple pounds. So getting out of that pain, but now I'm in a place where I feel really good in my body and I have nothing like super exciting goal. So not that I will stop working out, But I stopped needing the coach because now I'm like, I don't have anywhere tailored I want to go. So once you're out of pain, if we want to keep going at the rate and speed and direction that's specific, there has to be something specific bringing us towards that. It's like I wake up every day and I'm like, if I can get one more entrepreneur out of the fear they're in so they can maximize their life, like juices me the hell up. But like I have no more fucking pain.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm out of pain.
Interesting. Okay. Because when I look at my life, the times that I've accomplished things, there's been both a push and a pull. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and simultaneously.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting to get into this 25 minutes into episode 1, but something Joe and I were talking about.
Depth.
Yeah. Already.
Limiting belief that we discovered I'm grappling with is I've kind of made an enemy of peace, because I previously I worked with a coach who got me to a spot where I felt good, but I produced and I achieved absolutely nothing. And so what I learned from that is like, there's a difference between, I can see you smiling. I love this. There's a difference between being like habituated to your circumstance, and convincing yourself it's not bad and it's like not worth changing or the pain isn't there or whatever, and actually being in an ideal situation. And I think the problem today with the million excuses people have, like for not making that positive change, myself included, is you can say, okay, well, like objectively, this other situation might be better, but it's harder, it's longer, it's not that much better. And it's the hero's journey, right? The rejection of the call before something cataclysmic happens to force you down that path.
Yeah.
But I'd just be curious, like, how do you, I don't even want to say balance because that's such an overused word.
Use whatever word comes to mind.
Yeah. How do you operate understanding that, like, a lot of the motivation you get, like you said, is from a perceived deficiency that if you let yourself let go of, you feel a lot better, but you achieve and accomplish a lot less and potentially help way fewer people. How do you navigate that?
So first, I'll spit out a few second answer and tell me if I'm even on the right path of what you're saying. I think a lot of people, they get stuck in what I call a pressure cooker, which is like, once the pressure is high enough in the pot and they start taking action so they relieve some of the pressure, they just, and they feel okay. Another version of looking at this, like I smiled because of the way that you said something. I felt peace, but I got nothing done. There's so many people, especially entrepreneurs, who they use anxiety, they use fear, they use all these things to keep fucking going. One of the problems with this is, and I love that there's natural things coming up in our lives that we're all sharing, because I think it was yesterday, I hit the most money I've ever hit in my entire life in my bank account one time. Maybe I will, maybe I won't say what that is. Keep my perception high.
$82 million.
$607 billion. That's just between all of us. No, but I really did. I hit it. And I noticed something. My body felt calmer than it had in a long time. And I noticed immediately when it felt that calm, I was like, oh, let's go hang out. And I was like, wait, no. Nothing's changed. Keep going at the same rate you're going. And then I got right back into it. But the reason I bring all of this up is because humans are always driven by pain and pleasure, there has to be something big enough that always keeps us going. And I'll give one specific example. One of my mentors, Tony Robbins, he was talking about how like he does not need another dime. He doesn't need, he's rich, like his personal net worth now is $1 billion officially. And he was saying, he's like, so when I want to make a bunch more money, he's like, there's nothing that will motivate me until I come up with just an extremely globally nasty level goal. And so one of the goals that he came up with recently was to plant like, I don't know, 100 billion trees or something. But he's like, in order to do that, that goal is now so exciting that it's going to make me get creative enough. Well, he's not going to do that with his own money. He wants to collect, right? Like raise money.
You gotta get resourceful now.
Resourceful, yeah. So he's like, that thing got me so excited that now that, here's the key, that juices me, not makes me anxious about needing to go. It excites me so much that I can use the excitement as drive to go get the money for that.
Yeah.
And so I bring this up to say the drive doesn't always need to be a bad thing. There can be really positive emotions. And I think the challenge is a lot of us, especially as overachievers and entrepreneurs, we think that we need to be driven by pain because that's like the sexy entrepreneur, like, do it anyway, like we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But like, think of your emotions as verbs, not nouns. We happily do something. We anxiously do something. We angrily do something. And so most of us are trying to get an outcome to feel something versus the way I would suggest it, which is like, feel what you want on the way to the thing. I told you I would take 20 seconds and you can tell me if I'm not on the right track.
That's close to 20.
No.
You didn't, you didn't cut me off. So I assume I was
absolutely
on the right track.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll also add is I feel like when you don't have the really strong pull, you naturally are over-indexing towards the pain. And if you don't experience that pain, then by you feeling peace, it means, oh, like what if I slow down? So like there's obviously a story that if I experience peace, that means either I'm doing something wrong or I'm losing progress. I'm not making momentum.
But also to Tyler's point with the pressure cooker, it's not actually getting to an ideal situation. It's getting to a situation that is less bad.
Yeah.
Tolerable enough. Something like that, as opposed to a situation that is objectively good. Interesting.
And another note on that is I think a lot of us don't know how to, let's say we're using fear, anxiety, whatever. We're using something to get us motivated and get us to continuously go towards or build towards XYZ thing. The biggest challenge is I think that most of us don't know how to literally turn off that feeling during the day. And at the end of the day, when we're hanging out like this, or we're hanging out with our families, to turn that off, to just feel peace now, even though we haven't hit the billion, whatever you're after. Yep. It's like, but when you shut that laptop, as an example, metaphorically or literally speaking, shut that laptop, literally allow yourself to feel real peace and allow that to bring you into the day and into the next day. And if you're using that, like, come on, I gotta get shit. Like if you're using that feeling to you, that's fine, but turn it off. At the end of the day, I think most of us have no fucking clue how to do that.
Well,
I do, because I'm me.
Yeah, but I guess to that point, I have a very hard time turning it off, so to speak. So like, what would you, like for those workaholic guys, they're on 24/7, but they also have families. Like what would you say to those people? Like how can you just like, it's easier said than done. Shut the laptop, take a deep breath. How do you transition out of work mode into that?
It's always the smallest thing. So I will talk about this from a neuroscience perspective, but in a very simple to like understand, but also implement way. Neurologically, we can feel anything that we want right now. This is going to sound funny, but I'm so serious when I say this. All three of us at the same time being straight men could feel extremely aroused right now if we chose to. This is just, bear with me, it's a fact. Awkward. We actually can. But I say that as a funny illustration of like, we don't need to do XYZ thing to have X feeling that we're looking for, but we all believe that we do, right?
Yeah.
Once I hit 10K, once I have the blah, 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 then I will feel, well, no, you fucking won't.
Yeah.
When you hit that thing, you will allow yourself to feel that thing. So here's my point to your question, to answer your question is, let's say we hit the end of the day and actually I'll give you a perfect example. Fuck that. A personal example. So I had realized this several months ago that if I did not take 2 sales calls and they close and or give 2 major breakthroughs to my clients every single day, that I couldn't have peace. Damn. So what it would look like
setting
is
yourself up for failure there.
If I hit 1 sale, couldn't feel peace. 1 breakthrough, couldn't feel peace. 1 breakthrough, 1 sale, couldn't feel peace. It had to be 2 of 1 of them. And so I was like, every day, like stress. I'd stress into the night watching a movie with my wife and stress into the morning. And then guess what happened if I got 2 sales? Or 2 breakthroughs. And then I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
So I realized something. I was like, and this is where the minor shift is. Keep in mind what you focus on is what you feel. You mentioned earlier, right? Perception is reality, not actuality. So if what you perceive is what you really feel, question is, what what determines what you perceive? Well, it's what you focus on. Whatever we focus on right now is real to us. So putting this all into the point is, if when I close my laptop, if when the clock strikes 5 o'clock, if when X thing that you want to talk about happens, realizing that all of the things that I was hoping to get today, it's going to fucking be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, major mindset breakthrough. But I mean, like, when do we actually think about that? We're feeling like, oh, I got to get to it now. I got to get to it now. We don't even realize that's what we're saying internally. If you literally and subtly with a different tone of voice, I'm using it on purpose, it'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I mean in that tone of, now, let me tell you why I'm emphasizing this tone. You ready, guys, for this to get weird? I am.
I know exactly where this is going.
Oh, we're going right to it, aren't we?
Have you seen my reels lately?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, I have.
Dave knows where it's going.
Very much.
Audience, tell me, and you guys tell me sincerely, right? If I use this tone of voice, right? I don't even need to ask because you're already laughing. Now, someone out there is laughing. Someone out there is like cringing. Someone out there is like being like, we all felt something different. But the point is,
Someone's scandalized.
Yeah.
someone's rubbing their junk. I'm just kidding. Putting that on repeat every 3 seconds because it wasn't long enough to just keep watching. No, but like, we all had a specific feeling come from that tone. True or false?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, good or bad. We had it. Now, if I went, this is the most boring thing in my fucking life. That tone creates a different feeling. So if you find a tone of voice that in your head actually creates calmness, if when you close your this is the actionable step, by the way. I close my laptop and I literally just internally go, it'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
In a calm tone. Your nervous system feels calm.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we tend to perceive that like all the shit that we're trying to do, it needs to get done right now because we live in a Western society. Now. But it's like, actually, we have to talk to ourselves internally differently. Because if I went up to Joe and I was like, he would feel that way.
Yeah.
I was like, Joe, you're my best friend in the world. Yeah, you're my best friend. Whatever. He'd feel something different. Your tone matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, 100%.
that's how you do that. So it's like, if you don't change the tone inside of your head, you're going to be after a feeling for the rest of your life that you're just not even allowing yourself to feel. Yeah. Period. I messaged you when we were just becoming friends. I don't know if you remember this on Instagram. I was like, yeah, I hit my first 40K month, hit my first 50, hit my first 70. And then I was like, I thought when I hit this moment, I would magically and miraculously have this feeling of like Tom Cruise with the aviators, an explosion in the background, slow motion with a cigar and all this. And I was like, I feel no different than 10K.
Yeah, it's the same.
And the reason is because I just didn't allow myself to feel like that badass. Totally could have.
Yeah.
I get rid of phobias for a living in 5 minutes. Therapists can't do that in 25 years. So it's like I could allow myself to feel it anytime I wanted, but I'm waiting until I hit this quadrillion, trillion, billion number.
Yeah. And
Stop waiting to feel the feeling.
Yeah, to your point, like the goal always moves as well. Because you hit it and you realize, wait a minute, I don't feel what I thought I was going to feel. Maybe it's going to happen here. Maybe it's going to happen here.
So
until you get that self-awareness.
Pump the brakes for the audience. Because like intellectually, I'm absolutely tracking with you guys. But I'm also like, come on, dude. Like really no different. And I guarantee there is somebody that is thinking the exact same thing. Yeah. So how do you take that from like a logically that makes sense to actually internalizing that and changing behavior?
So the first thing is I would say and I'll keep this shorter so other people have a chance to use their voices.
Oh, this is your show, remember?
The first thing, I meant him, the person which room we're in.
Yeah.
No, but I would say in terms of to relate the feeling to everybody who maybe hasn't experienced those kind of numbers, think about something in your life that you once wanted, where when you got it, you didn't quite feel as quote unquote good as you thought you would. The relationship, the kids, the age, the whatever. And then the second you got that thing, you're like, oh, well, not when I have the girlfriend, when I get married.
Yeah.
Right? Or the first time I have sex, or the first time I have a kid, or the first time, and then you do it. Yes, it does bring a feeling of like, yes, for like
very short
a second. Yeah. And then you're like, shit, this feels the same. Like you go like this and then right back to where you were. This is why my whole work, and I'll answer specifically, that's why my work is like just bringing your baseline of emotions just higher. That way it doesn't matter what external thing, you just feel as good as you want. But to the actuality of that is like, it's hard to experience this specific thing until you've had it. But I would say this, if you're at 0K per month right now, you're stressed financially, but there's nothing you have to not attain to. There's nothing you have to be attentive to throughout the day.
Yeah.
So you have stress on one end, 0 on the other. Make 10K, more you have to be attentive to, a little less stress. 50K, lots you have to attend to, way less financial stress. It's like the less financial stress, but then there's other things you have to attain to. So your focus is just on gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. And so it's like, it feels hard to imagine because if you're struggling financially, I will tell you all of my bills, I could have 100 bills come out right now as I'm speaking. I wouldn't even notice the difference in my bank account. So there's not that stress there, but the amount of clients and people and systems and teams and wife and all these things that I have to take care of, stress comes in another area. And so it's like every time you hit a new level, there will be a new
devil.
Right?
Yeah.
So to tie it back to the peace then thing, it sounds like it's not really a matter of somehow being able to eliminate that stress or pressure. It's just depending on your frame of mind, you might not view it as stress, or you might see it as pressure, but willingly take it on.
Yeah, I would say yes and no to that. Like there's either quote negative stress or quote good stress. Stress is just something that like is you growing into the next level of yourself. And then the stress that's quote unquote not good is like something that you feel this should not be this way. Like I want this problem solved. So like the kind of stress I deal with all the time is like the holy shit, I bit off a lot here. How do I fit all this in my mouth? Like how do I chew this now? But that's exciting because I'm like, I asked for this life.
Yeah, exactly.
The kind that I don't like, I'm like, how do I solve this? Like this should not be this way. And so regardless of any of it, I think we still all as entrepreneurs or just humans on this earth, we have to learn how to create the feeling of peace or happiness or this or that, whatever it is, right here and now. So the answer to that is in terms of how do I do that? You need to learn to change your mental focus. If I ask the audience right now, including you guys, I'm curious, let's do this right now.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that in general, that you tend to focus more on what you want or what you don't want in general?
Probably don't want. Okay. Actually, to your point as well with like the work and the stress and all that, I was even just thinking like the past handful of weeks with me putting all this stuff together, all the logistics with all this stuff, clients, the DM stuff that's happening, like I see all this work that's piling up that I feel like I need to get done. And originally I was viewing it as like, oh, this is stressful. But it wasn't even in the sense that like it feels bad like in my body. It's more just like I have a big to-do list. And then I sat down and I realized like what you just said, like it's kind of like what I asked for. So like, is this a bad thing? Or like, can I reframe how I see this stress or how I see all these tasks or the responsibility as something that's more exciting? It's like, oh, this means that things are growing. We're launching this podcast. We have a lot of clients to fulfill with. Like there's good things happening. But a lot of people, like to your point, a lot of people probably focus a lot more on what they don't want or what they don't want to feel or what they're currently feeling that's negative, when in reality, it really comes down, as cliche as it is to say, like it comes down to how do you see it, right? Like how do you perceive what you're feeling?
100%. And so if, I'll even have a lot of people talk to me about like depression. And by the way, anytime I have like a public audience like this,
going to anger some people
here comes a contrarian take for you guys.
That's right.
I will always on purpose give like to the thing, and it's to spark conversation on purpose. Because if I go, some people come and talk about depression with me, well, it's going to sound like I'm a psychiatrist trying to like, no, It's like, this is a pattern you can change quickly. But here's my point of why I'm even bringing that up related to this conversation. How can somebody ever sustain happiness or any kind of good feeling in their life if what they're always focusing on is what they don't have, what they don't want, and what's missing?
Yeah.
Because you could have the cars, the money, the this, the that, you could have it all. But if what you keep focusing on in your life is just what's missing, what you don't want, and what you can't do and you have no control over, that's all you feel.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I give a really fucked up example of this with my clients.
We may or may not bleep this out. We'll see. What do we got?
Yeah, we'll see. It's not that bad. It's just not. Sometimes I'm autistic. I don't know where the line is, so help me find it.
We'll find as we go. We don't even know. We don't even know.
Real quick.
Worst case scenario, we can just censor some words or do some magic on the back end to disappear.
I'll ask my clients, I'll say, right now, as I talk right here and now, there are hundreds of thousands, if not, I don't know, thousands, whatever the number would be, of babies who are dying right now. That's a fact, because there's billions of people in the world. Hundreds of thousands of babies dying of starvation right now as we speak. But at the exact same time that I'm saying this, there are hundreds of thousands of babies being born into healthy, happy, loving, safe families. My question to both of you guys, which one do you feel right now?
Which one do I feel?
Which one do you feel in your body?
Oh, the first one. It's more pain.
Okay. And which one do you feel more?
This is a trick question.
I'd say this is very interesting. For me, I'd say the first one because that's more relevant to my life. And I'm not concerning myself with humanity as a whole because I think that's too big to tackle. But I'm also, like, I honestly don't really have clear goals for a lot of things right now. I don't have much and I'm like explicitly running toward.
Well, that's all right. So I'll even explain why that happens. But the quick answer to this is whichever one you chose to be focusing on is what you will experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because if two things are happening right now at the exact same time, the question is the only one that you're like feeling and experiencing is which one you're choosing to think about. Yeah. And so what's interesting about what you said there is you said what's more relevant to me. We all base what we focus on out of what we value most, right? If somebody values freedom at the highest level, they're unconsciously walking around their life asking myself, will this thing give me freedom? Will this thing give me freedom? Will this thing give me freedom? And if the answer ever in their mind goes, no, they're running away from that shit because it's like they want freedom.
Yeah.
If safety and control is the most important value in their life, anything that doesn't give them a perceived sense of I am in control, they're running away from. Yeah. So it's like if you, based on what you value is what you focus on unconsciously. What you focus on is what you feel. Yeah. So if someone is really going to change their life at a mindset level, so to speak, and going back to even the business piece, if you're going to say build a successful business, you have to have your values set in a way where you are aligned with that. Because most people associate freedom to business, riches. Well, get your ass strapped in for the first couple of years because Joe can tell you it is not all sunshines and fucking rainbows. Yeah. It's like saying, I want to have a baby because I want freedom.
Yeah. Good luck. So we can attest because we both have babies. Great example.
Okay, interesting. So
I guess we gotta wrap it up soon too.
Do you have? Yeah, I know. No, I'm keeping an eye. Do you have any thoughts before we? Move on?
I think that I'm glad that you're here because we got the mindset and literally answering all the questions.
Cool. So with that being the case, then the other thing that I would be curious to dive into, you did mention alignment, and I'd be curious to get both of your takes on this because, and this probably should be an entire episode by itself.
We'll leave it as a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That is what we'll cover in the next episode.
Authenticity is an incredibly loaded term. All right. Well, I guess
I want to say something on this.
Say something.
Yeah.
You said authenticity. Oh, this term could rip open. I hate how so many of us in the personal development field have started using the word integrity. I'll be the first to say, by the definition of the word integrity, I fucking hate how most people are using that. Quick example, and we can leave this as a cliffhanger if we choose to. If I say that you, Joe, or you, Gabe, are living out of integrity, how do I know what is integrity for you?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of
because integrity means whole. But if what you value and believe is different than what I value and believe, integrity for you is different than integrity for me. So how the fuck do I know that you're not living in integrity? I don't even know what you believe or what you value. Anyway, that's my cliffhanger.
Well, to that point, so this is a little bit more branding focused, but I'd say the exact same thing about perfect. It's like, we want to put out perfect content, but like that's what even is perfect? Like perfect for you is different than perfect for me. If I go back on my content in 2021, I spent 2 hours on a video. I put it out because I thought it was perfect. I look back and I laugh at that content because your version of perfect.
we were talking the other day about how we're going to look at this episode in a year or so and be like, oh no.
To be fair, I don't think any of this is perfect. I think we got a lot. I mean, speaking of, by the way, you can see Tyler's outlet. No,
that's not an outlet. That's something else entirely.
Not a light switch.
It's not a light switch.
So the reason I put that there is because I'm not a craftsman. I suck at that stuff, and I totally butchered the shape, so the frame, whatever you want to call it.
I put the sticky notes there actually, but
so we don't want to scar you with the little hiccup there.
It's fine. That'll be an episode 1 Easter egg. We'll never mention it again.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You'll just have the sticky notes.
Secret information. Cool. So I guess to tie it back to branding, then in figuring out like what you wanted to commit to, what the niche is. The thing I think we're missing in this conversation is the question of authority. Because you said like you have to build, a name for yourself in a certain niche before you go broad. How does somebody get started with the understanding that at a certain point you just have to start? You're not going to know what you're doing. You're not going to have the testimonials or the authority or like.
And I want to add another question on to that, if you don't mind. Same thing I want you to answer, but I've also always been curious to my followers or my family. I might be the authority in what I do because it's such a small pond. To my community, I may or may not be. To my country, not likely. But I'm saying like the bigger the audience of people we're talking about determines, am I an authority now or am I not? So I'm also, on top of that, I'm curious to know how you define, like, how would you decide, okay, I am now the authority of X?
I think it comes down to your results, honestly. And this is why I recommend initially niching down, because it's way easier to become an authority of a small pond of like, I help busy dads lose X amount of pounds of belly fat than it is to say, I help you get in shape and lose weight. Because it's like, if you're like a weight loss coach and you're targeting everybody, you have a lot of competition. Whereas if we can become more of a specialist, it's a little bit easier to become an expert in that specific field, especially if it pertains to your life, right? Like for me, for you, like you're a dad, I'm a dad. So it's like now we have that authority. I could realistically go out and say like, I help people build their personal brands while still balancing family life or something. Mm-hmm. Like if I wanted to, I could get a little bit more specific because I have that real world experience. But I feel like if you're going to go out and try to build a brand, you got to start just like putting out the content, to your point that you mentioned kind of in the middle of the episode. If you don't know what you're going to talk about or what you're an expert in, you just need to start.
With that being the case, to go back to what Tyler was saying earlier, I guess the first question would be, when do you let yourself become an expert? And why the heck should anybody listen to you until you're at that point?
That's a good
question. How do you bridge the gap from 0 followers to your arbitrary number, 10K, 50K, 100K, whatever? Or if there's some other metric of like, I need to work with X number of patients, for example, like if I'm a doctor, right? Do I tell those people like, by the way, I'm not an expert in this yet. This is actually my first brain surgery, by the way. Thank you for participating, helping me on my journey.
Yeah, well, do you need to be an expert though? Like I think the expert term is a little bit overused. It's like, why do you have to be an expert in a field? Like sure, that gives you some accolades and obviously it gives you a little bit more credibility for people to listen to you, but some people want to follow you along because you have a contrarian or unique take or like you're
What is contrarian?
Contrarian is like
me. Yeah, because my whole thing. No, I'm just kidding. Continue.
Yeah, but I feel like what I would say, just to button it up, you need to start doing if you're going to figure it out. Going back to what we were saying in the beginning with the messaging, you don't know how to formulate the messaging until you just start blabbering, start writing, start talking, start filming, start posting, and as you start to document your journey, the funny thing is you almost inevitably will segue into things you have an interest in. If you have an interest in it, you sort of like light up and you have I actually saw a video recently and he was talking about just the fact that like you have this like crazy passion for this thing automatically makes you someone to listen to. Cause like you're almost like vibrating at a higher frequency that like people can feel that you have this interest and they'll listen to just based off that. So just the fact that I love content, personal branding, messaging, just the fact that I have such like an autistic obsession with it, that alone should help almost like pick you out of like the whole crowd, like you're not an average person. So that I thought was interesting. Just like the fact that you dive into this thing, you spark up a really intense passion for a topic. That alone.
Very niche.
Yeah.
You know, what's so interesting about this, as you were talking, I was thinking about the fact that the amount of people who are, say, fitness professionals, and they think that they need to get the NASM,
the
ISM,
NASM, like, oh yeah, I got all these certifications.
You even have this too, where you constantly have people being like, you're not a therapist.
And this is where I was going to go with it, is I started to look into, I'm like, when I started to get the objection in my content and or in sales calls of like, well, are you a therapist? Do you have a degree? Blah, blah, blah. And my answer at first was an insecurity of like, no, but like, and then I'd explain. And then I began to question like, well, what actually makes me an authority? Like, why should you work with me even if I don't have that? And I realized something interesting. I can actually get you the result that you're coming to me to get in a very not contrarian way. It will be contrarian, but I don't mean it that way. Is if you've been seeing a therapist for 10 years and you still have the fear that I could help you get rid of in 5 minutes, who actually has the authority here?
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't need to trust me on that. But it's like, if that's actually what's happening, is it the piece of paper that makes you the authority or the result that you can get?
Yeah.
And so it's the same whether it's branding, whether it's, finally helping people in their fitness journey. It's like, is it the amount of trainings over the years, the amount of certifications or, certificates? Is it the school you went to? Is it the title? Or is it just, can you do the thing?
Yeah. Another thing that I was going to mention, so this brings up another point, which is, so I got in this really young. I was like 20. So you tell a 20-year-old, like, go charge 4 or 5, 6K for coaching. Trust me, I had like the fraud belief, like, who am I to go out there and charge this? I am not an expert. But the thing is like, you could have like, let's say there's a scale 0 to 100. Level 100 is like high level personal brand. This guy's been in it for 40 years, 30 years. And then there's all these other levels. If I've gotten to, let's say, level 10 or level 30 or level 25, where I have 20,000 followers and I've built a brand and I've put myself in front of camera, which some people are deathly afraid to even post, already I can help someone go from level 1 to 3, 5 to 7. I could help someone go from 1 to 25 if I'm at a level 26. So just because I'm not an expert, high-level expert, and I have all these accolades, doesn't mean I can't help someone. I think going back to like fitness, if you are that testimonial, that result, like by definition, you can help them. If you've gotten ripped, like I have one client who literally just signed up and he's like, he's a blue-collar worker, but he's ripped as hell. Like he goes to the gym and he's working 16 hours a day. Just by default, he is qualified to help people like him who were him 2 or 3 years ago.
Because he knows the journey from there, all the steps and everything to get to that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we've got a lot of threads to keep picking at. I'm sorry for the audience. We can't contain the entire body of knowledge.
We're a little
in this space
ADHD here.
In a single...
And autistic.
No,
a little bit, yeah.
No.
In a good way.
My apology here is that we aren't able to crystallize everything you possibly need to know into an hour. But I do think we've got a pretty good start. We're starting to find the flow. Again, this is very much a work in progress. So this is...
episode 0, guys. So... bear with us.
For all 10 of you watching, thank you very much. Stick around.
Hi, Mom.
It will only get better from here. All right. So from there, you can find me on Instagram at Gabriel Schickler. No, I'm not even going to spell that because we're still working on it. I'll find a way to put up some graphics or something on the screen. But these two guys, you definitely should follow.
Yeah. So at Real Joe McCarthy on pretty much all platforms. Feel free to shoot me a DM. Again, going back to what we said at the very first minute of this episode. If you guys have questions, if you want something specific you want us to cover, DM me, leave it in the comments, whatever works.
And you can follow me at tyler.charlebois on Instagram. And if you want to know how you can actually go from whatever you're most afraid of in your entire life to not afraid of it at all in like 5 minutes and have that be sustained, shoot me a message.
Shoot him a message.
Shoot me a message.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you tapping into the first episode. Again, we're probably going to look back at this episode in a year or two.
I'm gonna be
Tyler keeps looking at himself.
I'm gonna be way more.
I look so pretty. Like, look at the little hairline. It's like so pretty.
You do look pretty. I haven't been able to look at myself. By the way, if you guys see the switchies, I'm the one doing that. That's why I might have lost track a little bit what I was saying.
Dude, I've been
multitasking.
shooting looks over here like every so often, like trying to make sure like, okay, the mics are working.
Trust me, when you watch this episode, I'm a pro. But anyways, we hit.
Yeah, that's right.
We're clean at 1 hour, so this is beautiful. Give us a follow. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next Thursday.
In a week. Next Thursday.
Yeah.
These drop on Mondays. What are you talking about?
And we will see you next Monday.